These Divrei Torah are for the Refuah Shlema of Yishak Hayim ben Altoon Orah. Every Shabbat in our tefillot we say, Kal atzmotai tomarna, Adonai micha mocha. All of my limbs will say to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is like you? Which means that we will recognize the absolute unity and uniqueness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, both as He is and in the world, in our lives, with every limb of our body, everything that we are. And it's important to realize that when we say that, the limbs of our body are not something that we normally pay very much attention to. We just assume that everything is okay and that we run and they're there, and so we don't really think about, oh, I'm really glad that my ears are attached today, or that my breathing is functioning today, or that my taste buds are allowing me to taste today. I mean, coming out of COVID, some of us lost some smell and taste. There was a little bit of a missing of that, and we felt it if that was one of the symptoms that we experienced if somebody had the virus. As they say very often, one does not know what it is that one has until one loses it. And when we say that line in our tefillah, Kal atzmotai tomarna, Adonai micha mocha, all of my limbs will say to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is like you? In order to genuinely be able to say that, we have to acknowledge what it means to have an awareness in all of our limbs of what it is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given to us. And we can't properly say that tefillah if we don't have that awareness. One way to focus on this is to recognize that health is a default. It is the norm. Thankfully, the great majority of us are healthy, and we don't really think about the fact that we have the capacity to move our limbs, to breathe, to taste, to see, to feel. Those are things that we take for granted because, for all intents and purposes, they are granted to us. What isn't usual or default is, unfortunately, sickness. Sickness is when those regular, normal functions of a human being do not run in the way that they are meant to. And it requires special attention. It requires the special attention of doctors and specialists, but it also requires the special attention of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in ways that are not matched with a walking, healthy person. And therefore, the Hachamim say that the Shekhinah rests upon the head of a sick person, because that person requires special attention and care from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is not the default. It is not the regular running of things. As it says in the Pasuk, Adonai yis'adenu al iris devai, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sustains the person on his sickbed. And so, although we require a tremendous amount of tefillah and focus, intensive care for those that are not well, because they are not in a regular and normal state, for those of us who are blessed and fortunate to be able to live our lives and walk around healthy and as things normally are, it is easy to forget that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will, power, focus runs through our lives, and that we must acknowledge that. And we have to recognize that as much as it is normal, quote unquote, for us to be able to move our limbs and to be able to breathe and feel and taste and see, it is still something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu granted us. And when we take it for granted, it should not mean that we take it without recognition and awareness, but we take it for granted as though it is a granted gift to us. And therefore, in our prayers, we say, Kal atzmotai tomarna, all of my limbs will say to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in full awareness of all that you are for me, and all that you have given to me, and all that you continue to give to me. And so, when these things fail, when they don't function as they normally do, it is extremely important for us to be able to, first of all, pray for those people, to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mitoch she'al kol cholei amo Yisrael, from among all the others that are not well in Israel, to take care of them, to specially pay attention to them, and that the Shekhinah should be on their head, over them, watching them, caring for them. Adonai yis'adenu al iris devai, kol mishkavo hafachta b'cholyo, inshallah, amen. And that for us, that we always remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's granted gifts are with us every day. That, as we say in the Tefillah, Al Nisecha Shebechol Yom Imanu, on the amazing miracles that are with us daily. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu grant refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf to the choleh, and may all of us recognize the great gifts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given to us, have our awareness on Him, and in the merit of that, sustain and receive His beracha.